Hello, everyone.
So much ball
welcome back.
To cover. Sorry.
Welcome back, as Tom was saying, so much ball
to cover.
To Pitch Please,
the
podcast where people who play games pitch ideas to people who make them. Tom, how's it going this week? Have you died from the heat? Have you melted?
Oh God, yeah. Contextually, this is the hottest week of the year in UK, I think, and it is. I haven't played any games recently because I just can't sit in one place. It's so hot all the time. I want to die.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's bad.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We're joined by our regular developers, Chrissy.
Hi, I'm Brunch Club developer and industrial bin bag, Chris Yules.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Again, I have to come up with them, and whatever comes into my mind, that.
Okay,
I've gone full loop on these now, and I really like them again.
Is it industrial grade bin bag? Or
no.
Oh, all right. Okay. Anyway,
yeah. Well, that's what I thought. Industrial grade, a very strong bin, but you can take a lot of trash inside.
You can take it. You can take a beating.
I can fit a lot of shit in me.
You can fit a lot of rubble in there.
How about you, James?
Hi. Hey, I'm James. I did that game, Drink More Glurp, one of the developers.
Yes. You did it.
It is out.
You actually did it.
It's
out right now.
I would like to clarify, there's a comment on the Sips's episode, which is, well done. You managed to talk about your game for an entire minute without saying the name.
Oh, was that me, was it? Okay,
yeah.
Drink More Glurp. Yes.
You're like, yes, it's finally out. You didn't say the name of the game at all.
That's right. That's exactly what I do.
All the links to these games are in, if you're listening on YouTube, actually, if you're listening anywhere, they should all be in the description.
So check them out. God damn it. Check them out, play them.
Please check them out.
And review them.
Review them. If you've crucially review them, that would be amazing.
Today's idea. So have you seen the game Carrion or Carrion? It's like quite new.
Yes.
I think it's on Game Pass. I think it's like this indie game. Maybe I don't know much about it, except that you are playing as this big amorphous blob of flesh and goo,
tendrils.
You're like a big tumor, aren't you? A big tendrily tumor.
Yeah,
that's a good intro for me next week.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, you play as this big amorphous blob that's basically just going through all of the hallways of this abandoned science facility, not even abandoned, it just killing humans and absorbing them all. And just
the game opens. I've played like 15 minutes of it or something, and the game opens. You're deep in the belly of this underground research lab, obviously this kind of top secret lab, and you're in a jar, and you break out. And then as soon as you break out, all the alarms start going off. The scientists start shitting themselves, trying to run away, and then from then you just have to cause chaos.
You just crash through
things,
breaking through doors, trying to stop people from shooting you, and eventually wearing you down. Anyway, the way this ties in is a slightly more understated version of this, where you are a parasite. Maybe something like cordyceps or something, right? The one from Last of Us, but not with all the fungus mold and things.
I was going to say that's quite an obvious one.
But cordyceps.
What about?
I mean, on a very basic level, cordyceps just takes over your brain and controls you, right? If it progresses, like in Last of Us, it turns you into a fungus mold
body snatchers.
Maybe.
Invasion of the body snatchers.
But you basically are this parasite that's controlling this one dude, or maybe you start the level as this like blob thing, and you just have to latch onto the nearest person. And there's basically, with each level, there's this one host who is like this prime host. Like you get to him, and oh boy, howdy, you're gonna grow big. But you're just trying to get through the level as this one host, getting to the final thing. And you have all these abilities that obviously, if you use them, then people will spot you. Maybe you can, I don't know, launch an arm out in a big tentacle and just destroy half the room in one swipe. And it's kind of a game of, you could either, like in Hitman, you can either go the stealth route, where you are, maybe you go through the entire thing just as this tiny little blob, and you go to the ceiling and you crawl along that. You go into some pipes and you navigate through the level that way. Or you just take over like a security guard and either security guard your way through by, I don't know, key cards or shooting people or whatever, or you just go full Carrion style and you just destroy the place.
Just go nuts. Chris, what you got?
So it's the game Prototype.
Wow. Okay. What's Prototype?
And Prototype 2.
What's Prototype 1 and 2?
So it was an open world well, it's like an open city adventure game. The first one you get infected by, I think you're actually maybe the government does something to you, and what you can do is to get around certain areas, you absorb into people and you become them, so you can get past security checkpoints. But he literally has he's like the blade that comes out.
Yeah, but that
switch
was
his arm to like the hammer.
That was like
number 2. He had loads of tendrils and stuff.
Wasn't that kind of super
I remember an
powery?
E3 trailer for that.
He was basically like a superhero, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
He
was
a bit
like
Just Cause-y to me.
super,
Like,
yeah.
you go
but
crazy.
I mean, in terms of like mechanic wise, I'm saying like the whole.
What about
taking over people?
For this, my idea for I don't know if you already have one of these, but like for the framing of it, what if you are like I don't know, say if you are like the Greys or some kind of alien race that is observing Earth from space,
right?
And your plan is to take over the world, but you don't have the means to do it through strength of arms. You can't go down there and aliens zap them all. You have to send in your elite specialist agents to slowly take over people in positions of power.
Oh, so this is the lizard
this
people
is Destroy All
government.
Humans.
The prequel. Oh,
this is the game Destroy All Humans.
Okay.
So how does that one work?
What you've just
James?
described, but they've named it Destroy All Humans. That's pretty much how that works.
Is it really?
I feel like
Yeah,
it should
you
be,
go in as one guy.
I think we need to get some sort of endorsement tie-in. This is Venom, basically, is what's coming to mind, and you do it as a spin-off of the Spider-Man games, and you just play as Venom.
Right. Okay. So basically, what I've made here is 3 things I haven't played or watched. Right, like Venom, Prototype, and Destroy All Humans. Cool.
Pretty much, yeah.
But what I like,
thanks everyone. Alex, you're very, very muted.
Oh,
you just shouting, and I was like,
"It's not." I was so angry I had to mute myself. Destroy Humans. That doesn't like you're like flying around with like big guns fighting.
Well, you're on the ground and you have to like take over the president's body.
This is not a stealth.
No, it's not stealth.
A Hitman style game at all.
I thought it was like a sandbox game.
It is, but you can also take over people's like bodies and you can become people because you're only one guy, so you need to like not get attacked. But it is very arcadey.
Is this like Octodad in a way? Do you see it being that sort of silly physics where you take over the person's body and you've got to try and be the president, but you're just coming out with absolute garbage? Like, good afternoon, everybody. You should go buy things and be good humans.
Build a wall.
I think. let me read my actual pitch here, because what I read to you there, I have written down, probably for the first time ever, quite a detailed pitch, and I didn't read it for some reason. So what I've got written here is Hitman Parasite, you're cordyceps or something similar, and you jump from victim to victim, stealthing through to find the most delicious host to spread your diseasey tendrils across the level. Place hives, traps, and upgrade weird abilities to complete unique challenges in super handcrafted levels. Try to get away with acting as a human? ? Higher levels means higher testing/screening. People wear masks ? ! And that's it.
So there is some of the Octodad in there already, right? From James, from what you're saying, try to get away with acting as a human.
Yeah. That's why
there is a little bit
read
of
the entire thing. So maybe there is in that sort of like Hitman does it as well, where you if you are disguised as a waiter, you can blend in. So maybe something like that.
So are you seeing this as quite serious and real? Because like things like Destroy All Humans or Octodad are very cartoony and silly. Are you imagining, when you say Hitman, are you actually imagining this as kind of like real life or more realistic?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as jokey as Octodad. I mean, I feel like the goofiness element comes from the approach that you take, right? Like if you want to just go in and just tear the shit out of the place, then yeah, I mean, sure, you can do that, but which is pretty goofy, huh? Right, guys? Zinger, just killed like 100 people. Wow.
Chris,
what if okay, I'm trying to get the point. What if you like Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War? There's like a hierarchy of people you need to go up through, right? Say you want to take over the presidency. The end goal is to take over the highest position in power, right? But you have to work your way up to get the clearance to get that. But do people know that you exist? Are there like detectors and like you said, and things like that. But are they specifically aimed at you, or are they just? Because I feel like there's no threat if you can just go.
Could it be that like it's not? It's kind of just like this world, like that most people have no idea and don't believe in the existence of aliens at all. But there is some kind of shadow organization that is tracking you, or that's some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of secret arm of the
Area 52,
the US government.
Yeah,
Area 52, sure. Yeah,
I feel like I'm liking that approach more than like a virus approach, because I'm struggling to think, if you're like a single entity, are you trying to just spread, or are you actually just trying to get to an end goal? Because if the idea is to spread, then I feel like that kind of goes away from the stealth element. You would just always be like, well, fuck it, tentacles everywhere.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think the approach I was taking with that one, where there is multiple ways you can just approach a level in a handcrafted way, that's very Hitman, right? Like, in Hitman, you can literally just go in and say, yeah, I'm just going to shoot this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and all the civilians around, and I've just won the level. Cool. But you get like no points. What is a level? For it.
That's why I don't get. That's why I couldn't understand it. What's the point of the level? Like, how does that look? How does that play out? What's the goal? What are the hazards? That's why I said like the whole hierarchical thing of.
So yours is open world.
I think that's a good idea. Right. Yeah.
In mine, it's like fucking Washington DC's your playground, and you'd be like, let's just go, right?
Okay.
There's a military base nearby. Maybe they know that
I'm into that.
Your species exists, and maybe when you come out of someone, you just leave like a skin on the floor. Like, what is it? What is it in
like when a spider sheds their skin?
Yeah, it's like, is it Men in Black? The cockroach when he comes out of him, he just leaves the guy's skin as like a. No. But then maybe that's like the trace of you, and that's they can the more you have to hide, you can choose to hide them. Like in Hitman, you can put them in the trash or hide around the corner. If you just leave them out, people are going to start panicking. But I don't know. Like that seems a way of guiding players towards an end goal. And then like the threat is police, people seeing you, and then you could build up a threat over time. But I'd say in like an enclosed environment, I don't know what the threat is. Hence why I asked if they understood if you existed. Because if they had detectors of like, foreign, cells or, things like that, then you could be like, okay, I need to avoid those, so I need to go around. But I can't, because everyone's being funneled through these detectors to how do I get around this? Therefore, it becomes a sort of puzzle, but also, you can do the stealth elements. But I don't need, you need to know that goal.
How about if it's if okay, so the overall, like the setup for it is that you still have like, okay, there's aliens who want to take over the world, and they're going to do it through infecting or somehow influencing the great leaders all over the world. You have like their best agent sent down. Chris just thought of the name.
No, that wasn't the name.
Their best. Go on.
They have 20 days until they figure out a way of killing you, and there's some sort of countdown. And after
nice! They're researching something to try and stop
some sort of calendar, maybe set at Christmas, and it could be some sort of advent calendar.
But it could be a count. But let's say if like they've sent down their best alien agents, whatever, their best infiltration people to all these different leaders around the world, like all the great leaders, like prime ministers, like kings and queens or whatever, all around the world. You are the one that is in Washington DC, and your job is to infect. That you have the biggest job of all, because the most powerful person in the world is the president of the United States, and so that's the one that you have to infect. And so maybe, depending on the success or failure of other agents worldwide, like perhaps as the game progresses, it gets harder, because people like these agencies, these shadow agencies, like the secret arms of the government or whatever, become more aware of you when they hear, I don't know, someone over in England found Boris Johnson's skin on the floor, and now they're looking into the presence of it, or something like that, like which can increase the difficulty level as you go through.
Oh my God!
I'm loving the idea that this is like 6 degrees of President Trump, right? So it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. How many steps do I need to go through to get to the president? So you start off like at some small community like meeting. It's like, hi, I work adjacent to the White House, and then you've got to try and take over like the local governor, and then go up from there. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Eventually, you're trying to get to Kevin Bacon. There's always like that 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right?
That's it. Yeah, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
How do you get to Kevin Bacon in 7 levels? We can do that.
Because they think he's in charge of the world, maybe? I don't know. Maybe they get it wrong. And
maybe they just want to dance. Maybe that's what aliens really want. They want to dance.
They just
he
want
can teach them
4G.
4G.
I love the idea of news coming up and it's just like, oh my god, I think some lizard people have taken over Donald Trump. He looks like a weird potato sack. Oh wait, no. No, he's fine.
You know something's wrong. Why? How do you know something's wrong? He's speaking coherently.
It's eloquent.
Anyway,
so
this
is not a political podcast.
Okay, so if this wasn't a Hitman style, very handcrafted levels, but it was more open. Say if it was Chris's idea of you have Washington DC, how does that feel for you?
It could be a mix of both. Like, it's still in video games when you have open areas. You can still have ones like in Division, right? It's open world, but when we get to an instance, we still have to do an inside mission, right?
Chris,
hello.
I have to ask: have you played Hitman?
Yes.
So I don't understand the confusion of like what is a level in Hitman? Like it's essentially this open world thing.
But okay.
It has come up several times,
but it's not like that open world. But
I mean, it is. The levels are massive, and they've got so much diversity to them, and every little character does all of their own little things, and that's essentially what we're trying to recreate with this.
But I was more saying about the environment itself and how that affects you. In Hitman, it's because you're a hitman, and people know that. Oh, he's got a gun. But if your only thing is that you're an alien and you can disguise yourself, there's not really a threat. No one. What's the threat to you?
I feel like there's got to be
the threat in Hitman is getting caught.
Yeah, there's got to be something that would give you away. It's not just about detectors. What else could give you away?
You can't be in. All right, number one, you can't be in your host for too long. 45 seconds max, and all of a sudden you start displaying signs that you start sweating profusely.
45 seconds.
You start your arm starts to sag.
Just say X number of seconds, because just throwing a random number is not a fantastic design choice.
Okay, fine.
What if it was 45 seconds?
After a certain amount of time, like your character starts to look really weary, or like I don't know, their flesh starts to like sag, and you start like falling to pieces, and you turn into like a tentacled man.
Inhuman.
But then do you leave like a husk behind when you exit the body?
Oh, it's either
just a trail.
Either they expire, right, and you've been there for so long, they just turn into this meaty sack on the floor, right? or you can just jump out of the thing early and it fucking explodes. Yeah,
dolphin dive out of there.
You just dolphin dive out and do a little somersault, and then when you land, you T-pose, which is perfect for game development as well. Like it works well. It's a dual purpose thing there.
And then a little number 10 comes up.
Yeah,
maybe the alien can't live in our atmosphere without possessing a host so if they can't be out of the human for too long, so there's the negatives of staying in one person too long, but the negative of being out of the person too long.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you get spotted in either scenario, I think there's a window of time when you are a human that you're like, people won't even question you. You're just a human. But then after that amount of time, you start to display more signs of being strange, right?
And perhaps certain things that you do could wear that down, like running or fighting, or just other things that you do will like decrease the amount of time that you can stay in that body because you are slowly draining it of everything.
Yeah.
Chris.
So in regards to that, I have an idea. So maybe if the part of the tactic of it is you have to choose your people carefully, because you take on the traits of the people that you get. So if they're like a crack
this guy's passive
you
aggressive.
suddenly are just like maybe it changes the way the game plays, because
you're not getting into the
you're
White
now
House,
having like withdrawals because you're the person you had before is basically, I got it from like the TV shows where you're like, it's basically iZombie, where she's like, I eat the brain of the person, but I take on all the personality traits of the person.
I think on the opposite end of the scale, right? If there's, for example, a level in like a hospital ward or something, and you infect someone who, and you're walking through and you're like looking really ill and weary and shit, people won't really question that, right? Like, it's a hospital or something like that.
If you're in an airport, it's like, hang on a minute.
Who are you assassinating in a hospital?
Well, no, but you could go to the hospital because like you're like, fuck, my body's melting or I'm dying. I'm not going to be able to make safe and find someone in time. I'm going to go to the hospital to find someone because I know that'll give me a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'll go where the healthy people are.
The hospital. I mean, I think
the doctors.
I think like basically the idea is you constantly have to manage, jumping from whatever you begin as, like a tiny little blob thing, if it is this virus or whatever, and then jumping into human. Can you go into animals? Yes. And also there's achievements for getting kills. Every single target in the game,
Exploding
if you kill them
cats.
as a gorilla, you win. You win the game. That's how you win.
Can you go into plants?
The achievement's called Harambe.
No,
That's
they
dumb.
need orifices.
Horrify.
Horrify.
You can go into a vine, and it lets you get up to the top of the building quicker.
But isn't that what? Like you could just use a pigeon.
You could just use a pigeon. I mean, there's multiple paths.
Just fly into the White House.
Pigeons are very hard to jump
Maybe
into.
that's how you get in. Maybe the president has a dog, and you're like, okay, this is where. But he's got set walkies, and you have to, scout out.
All of these ways that you're describing are like how you would approach a Hitman level, right?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
there are so many different ways that you can do this.
Again, I understand. Hitman is very good, and the level design of that is fantastic. It's just that Hitman is grounded. The threats are grounded. We understand why getting caught killing a man is wrong, right?
I mean,
people understand. People as an AI,
but I think we also
but as an
understand.
alien, you don't have what are the threats. Are we like if we're more powerful than you could just
what Tom has said, like with the idea of having to leave your host, and also James's suggestion about like you can't be out of your host too long, and you can't be in the same host too long either. Otherwise it's very obvious to people, and like people aren't going to necessarily think, oh shit, that's an alien. They'll just be like, what the fuck is that? That's something really weird. I'm calling the police, or I'm going to scream. Well,
I think that
like
could
it's
be
like in Hitman. Sorry,
I was just going to say that's part of the premise, isn't it? It's like, why aren't the aliens just invading? Well, it's because they're like super weak and feeble, so they have to be tactical. They have to be
Yeah,
They're
but
just
throughout the
tiny
level,
blobs.
you can also, I don't know, when you leave a body, you can instead say, actually, this guy, I'm going to turn him into like this thing that's attached to the ceiling, and anyone that walks through, it will just drag them up. Or maybe I'll turn him into a exploding corpse, and it just blows up the room. Or
you can use the
something like that.
bodies.
you
use
can
the
choose
bodies.
which way you go out, up or down.
Yeah.
Oh my
You have to
goodness.
make sure.
One's more stealthy than the other.
You have to pick very carefully if you sit them down on the toilet, because otherwise you've lost the level. Or access to the sewers.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
How do
So,
you see this
okay, so-
looking? Like, if we is this
Hyper
like a-
realistic.
hyper realistic? Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
and
So Hitman 3.
Yeah, maybe
kind
maybe
of
like maybe it's kind of Hitman style where it's not, it's not unrealistic, right? Or maybe it's kind of a top-down isometric thing. Maybe it's
Hitman Go.
Hitman Go. Hitman Go.
Hitman Go to space. Is that?
But you're a big blob thing. I think when you
Shitman.
say when you say Hitman is grounded in the knowledge of if you get caught killing a guy, that's bad. Like everyone knows. Oh, obviously don't get caught killing a guy. You're an amorphous blob, infecting people and exploding them. I think if I saw that, it's not like I'm confused about the prospect of
No.
wait, do I run? Hang on a minute, am I running from this or am I going closer to it? I feel like I'm very grounded in the idea that that's something I've run the fuck away from.
I'm screaming.
But I do feel like there should be external threats that change the way you play it. Because if you just hop from person to person, you just walk, right? There's no.
So
I need to pass this security gate because X number of factors, or I need to go around this way because
you can't like jump from person to person in a crowd.
no.
So maybe in the last few seconds of time that you have with this dude, you try and lure someone away, so you can then swap bodies between them without other people spotting you. If you're a security guard and you're in the middle of the building and you start to really wear down, you're like, fuck, I'm surrounded by all these armed guards. I need to find a place to dispatch this body so that I can then traverse the level as the blob.
Would there be a swap cooldown as well? Like you can only do it so many times or once in X amount of time. Like, so you can't just quickly jump through. Like, if you're getting chased through a crowd, you can't be like, jump, I'm out.
But that's what you could use the Watchdog Legion style where every character has a trait, right? So you could get someone who, but I suppose their trait could just be their position in the
I think
hierarchy
it's.
of people.
I mean, it's their trait.
Yeah.
It's the same again as Hitman, where their trait is essentially just their role in the level. If they're a security guard, cool, you get that X amount of clearance. If they're I don't know, roadworks guy, then you can expect them to be around this area and they've got access to machinery or whatever.
Chris?
I have a question about just the story. What is the story
The story is
and the end goal?
it's Lizard People Government, the prequel. So you're trying to you're the one that starts turning the government, which they are now, as we all know, into lizard people. The origin.
The part where this falls apart for me is that I can only possess these people for a short period of time.
Oh.
So how do we solve that? We can solve that narratively. There's just there'll just be some way to do it.
Alex, this is your department. Come on.
So maybe if you have, in order to get, the reason that you're getting to the president is not just to be able to, like, maybe there's some kind of order that they have to enact that will then give you, that will then allow the aliens to get technology. Order 69 allows somehow the aliens to gain whatever technology it is they need. Maybe there's some kind of mineral or something in the world that the aliens don't have access of. Copper, something that is all over this place, but nowhere else on in the world, like in the universe, or they can't get hold of it. That allows them. That allows them to stay in the host as long as they want.
Maybe they're after the nuclear launch codes or something. I don't know. Maybe they just are really. I mean, it's a bit doomsday, but they could just start the end of the world, like.
It could, maybe they do actually just want to fucking kill all the. They only care about hiding like who they are until they get rid of all the humans or make the humans weak enough that the aliens can come in. And once that's done, then fuck it. Like, because I mean, if they manage to, I don't know, become the president and make some kind of press the button or whatever, do any kind of order that creates a war. Like, if all these aliens all around the world manage to come together and do that, get rid of all the fucking humans. And then the aliens
45 seconds at a time.
So story-wise, the very end of the level is you get into the room, like the White House office room. Is there a name for it? Maybe
the Oval Office.
Oval Office, that's the one. So you finally are watching through like a vent. You're this blob, and you can see the president, right? And there's some guy in front of the desk who's like, "Mr. President, we need you to give the nuclear launch codes or give us a go on whether we're gonna blow up this place." And the president is like, "Hang on a minute, I just need to go take a poop." And then you jump down, go into him, and then the end of the level cutscene is he opens the door, he's sweating, and then he's just like, "Do it." That's the end of the level.
And that's the end of the game.
That's the end of the game.
Before the cutscene.
So we've designed a one-level game.
Yep.
Everything goes up to you have to there are a bunch of levels before that to lead up to the point where you get into the White House, right? You start at like the Starbucks next door, and then you infect one of the employees, because there's someone who works in the lower floor of the White House who does the coffee run every morning, and you want to infect them because then as soon as you infect them, you can bring the coffees in, and bam, you're in the White House.
Okay,
like that could be one of the
here's progression levels. Okay, you start as you're just this thing that's being researched in a lab, right? And you have to break out of the lab. So first mission, get to the head scientist, he'll let you free or whatever, he'll open the main doors. Level 2, turns out this lab is in like Russia or something. You need to get out of there. So level 2 is in an airport. And then you need to get onto a plane. So you have to infect the captain and fly the plane the entire way there. And you have
Why
full
can't he
control.
just be the blob on the plane in the cargo hold?
Because you're starving.
Right, okay.
So you
complimentary.
What do aliens
you can't
eat?
survive outside of a human host for too long.
That's it. Of course, James is.
And then level
45
3
seconds.
is you have to get from LAX to Washington, and that means you have to infect an Uber driver, and that's really hard to do.
And then there's
that's
how
long
many hours does it take to drive from LAX?
You were on a plane a second ago. Can't you just fly again?
But you're a blob.
Why don't you just go direct? Why not go to Russia to Washington? Why have you got to do a further trip?
No
tickets.
Flights were cancelled.
No, plane was fully booked. You couldn't get on.
Going back to Chris's initial what if it was just Washington, like Watch Dogs or whatever is San Francisco. And if it was just Washington, Division. Like if it was just Washington DC, and that is and you can maybe the world it does have these sections of Hitman style levels where you go in there, they are more they're more handcrafted, but then you have the in between bits as well, or maybe the whole thing. I don't know. Like, but like, would that work as a bit more open? I feel like. I don't know. I feel like open world could be interesting.
So, having just played and completed Ghost of Tsushima, which is a pretty good game, except it's open world. Okay. I would say some games don't need to be open world. Like, if there's Hitman handcrafted levels, and then the weird like travel between each level that's just so unnecessary. It's like, oh, cool. I'm really slowly crawling across this open world to get to the next level as a blob. It's just not fun.
It's a blob.
And it's just an empty open world.
Do you say that because Ghost of Tsushima is so open? Because there isn't anything. Like, there aren't any skyscrapers and tall buildings. And that. It is very open. It's all the same. I mean, it looks gorgeous, don't get me wrong, and it really does. But I understand why you people get frustrated with it, and I did at certain points because I'm just fast travel, but like it is just trees, grass. Again, gorgeous looking, but you do go where the fuck am I?
Beautiful,
you don't have the landmarks.
Emptiness. That's Ghost of Tsushima, and also Ghost of Ghost of whatever.
Just say Ghosts.
Death Stranding
has what feels like extremely little handcrafted areas. Like the entire game feels like a generation engine to me.
Really? You didn't enjoy it very much, did you?
Yeah, the missions felt...
It sounds like he loved it.
The missions felt... like I completed it, right? And I almost 100%ed it, in fact. But, it just felt so not handcrafted. Like, here's a camp. It's got 3 tents in it and some sword guys. And the next camp has got 4 tents and 3 sword guys, but an archer this time. And it's like, oh, okay, right. I mean,
yeah, but it's a camp. It's not a, settlement.
I know, but what I mean is, like, it felt like the entire world could have been generated from an algorithm. Even every mission could have been, where it's just like, I need you to go to this place and kill this guy, and also stealth through this section. And then mission 2 is almost identical, but you do it in a different order this time. Ghost of Tsushima is a very beautiful game that didn't need open world. I wish they spent more time making it a handcrafted, very cool game in levels.
Interesting.
Like the combat.
The way I'm thinking about this, I don't necessarily see the need for the open world or the traversal. I feel like getting to the end of the level is that traversal. That you're getting from point to point, and then you don't want to be like, right, now I'm in this person and now I've just got to get to a new area. That's kind of you're triggering like the next room essentially.
Yeah. So that could just be a cutscene, right? Like, you don't need to. I think you're right. Yeah, you don't need to have this big open world where you're doing, unless we were to fill it with more stuff, with more things to do, where the main objective isn't just.
Or I feel like you wouldn't have the same mechanics. Really, you wouldn't have the whole. Yeah. If you're in a human for too long, they would deteriorate because. I mean, you would just see a massive path of dead characters leading to where you need to go. So it's like every other dumpster's full of dead bodies. And be like,
where is he? Well, we'll just follow the trail of skin.
Yeah.
So what if these people weren't like? If it was somewhere in between where, like, I get that Hitman's very handcrafted, but also that there is a very very much sense of like you can kind of knock. Am I right? I'm remembering this right. You can pretty much steal anyone's uniforms, right?
Yeah.
You can just knock most people out and steal the uniforms. So what if it was more that like you can only possess certain people, certain kinds of people? It's not anyone you can just get into.
Weak-willed. Yeah, anyone with certain blood type. How the hell do you identify that?
Like or are you seeing it more as it is just kind of like it's like it would play essentially like Hitman, but instead of stealing their clothes, you're jumping into them.
Maybe certain people, like in this crowd, maybe you can infect everyone, but there's like strong hosts and weak hosts, and the weak ones, maybe you can infect them for way longer because they're unable to resist you once you take control, right? Whereas the stronger willed hosts, or maybe the stronger immune system or whatever, they fight back a lot quicker and eventually die out a lot quicker. I mean, immediately they die regardless, right? But they're still pushing you out of their body quicker.
Right. I've got it.
Yeah. Is it a name?
Yeah.
It's a name and it's just fantastic. It made me laugh a lot.
I didn't see or hear you laugh.
I didn't hear you laugh.
Because I was just closing my mouth. It's a sequel. It's a sequel to. It's a really bad joke. It's a sequel to Carrion, set in Kansas, and it's just called My Wayward Son.
For God's sake, what does that even...
What?
What's the
What
link?
the fuck?
Carry on, my
What are you
wayward
talking-
son. It just made me laugh.
Oh,
I
okay,
just the
yeah.
song by
Sake.
Kansas. It just
Yeah.
made me laugh. Okay, let me have things.
Okay, you can have that. Thanks, Chris.
I needed
So-
to say something. I needed
Okay,
to say
but,
something
okay,
positive.
Oh my
What you just
God.
said then is like has piqued my interest with the like you have about strong hosts and weak hosts, right? Does that mean what if there was some kind of like I hate to use the term mini game because it sounds like it would be shit, but the idea of like there's some kind of additional like extra mechanic that is you can't just press A to infect host. You know, there's something going on where there's some kind of struggle that is a pass or a fail. If it's a weak host, it's a lot easier to pass that, but you won't be able to stay in them as long. And if it's a strong host, it's hard, but if you get in, then they last longer and you'll be able to achieve your objective easier through various, depending on what the character is.
Okay.
And if you fail these, is there some kind of fight that takes place, or is that when people scream, they're like, oh fuck, what is going on?
So I'm thinking the mini game
They
is
shit
one of those
themselves.
tube games, you know, where you've got the water going from one end, you need it to get to the other side, and you just put in tubes to make a
Right.
source of water
Classic.
flow from one end to the other. Or in this
oh
case,
my god.
the end is the brain, and you are the infection, and you have to make
Holy
a path.
shit,
Or
yeah.
just
like
why not
BioShock.
a maze, just a massive.
Everyone
labyrinth.
loves those.
Yeah.
What if you're like, if the animation for it is you hold your hands up to the person's head and then just loads of tendrils shoot out of the tips of your fingers and then they
I
just
thought we were a
implant into
blob.
the person's head and you have to.
You're a
well, no,
tendril
this is
blob.
when you're infecting another person.
We've got
Maybe
hands
this is when,
now.
when
Can
from
you
person
change
to
shape?
person.
Oh,
no,
I
like
see.
if you're in one person trying to jump
okay.
into someone else,
Um,
change shape.
I
Only
looked
to the
into
size
how'd
that
you get into
currently
the
are,
first
so you're a
person?
tiny person.
orally.
No, but like yeah, okay, and then you have that opportunity to like to then like that. Basically, that's the moment where you are most exposed, trying to infect someone else.
I think
And-
the mini game should be every Mario Party level, but you're playing against Luigi AI. So it's really difficult.
What if?
We'll have it.
This is
Okay.
a bit of a tangent. What if
Yeah.
you don't infect the host? You shapeshift to look like the host. So there's always the case that you just have to like hold them and copy them, and maybe sometimes you're in a rush and you don't get everything, and you're a little bit plasticky, and then you still have to dispose of the
You
body.
might look a bit like the previous person.
Oh no,
as well.
actually, no. Okay, that's
it's a
a really
classic
cool
sci-fi
idea.
trope, but you know,
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think you take them away to merge into them. I think it's a case of just observing them for long enough, and you just maybe after 30 seconds of just following this dude, you then become him. But there's two of you in one level. I know that those missions suck in games, and again, I'm going back to my review of Ghost of Tsushima, where they do it all the time, where it's just these really slow, boring stealth behind and follow this guy for a long time missions.
So you've
That
made a
was-
whole game out of it.
That was taken out of Assassin's Creed because it sucked. I'm glad they brought it back to AAA gaming. Wow, I love that game. Anyway, you just observe this guy for X amount of time, but then both of you exist in the level. So if
Oh my
if you
God.
like, if a
Okay.
character sees this guy walk around a corner or finishes
Yeah.
talking to him, and then you just come around the opposite corner and like, hey, it's me again. He's just like, wait, hang on, wait. What? You were just hang on. So maybe
I just saw you. We just
Maybe
talked about the
it's-
donuts.
I was just
Hitman
thinking it might be
Doppelganger now.
a good way to get rid of the infinite dead bodies that we seem to be creating, because that will cause that will give if everybody's on guard already, if there's alien detectors, if there's guards and they see one human sack blob, they're like, we'll lock the whole place down, we'll blow the whole building up, you know,
Well,
just
yeah.
to make sure.
with
But
everyone
if it was
inside.
you're hidden, it's hidden in plain sight, really. You're there, but the other person, you've got a time when they go to the bathroom, or maybe they go take a call or go out for a fag break or something, and then it's like, right, now's my chance. I can be like, hi.
I love that idea. Like
Yeah.
the idea of having like being able to double as someone, but then they still exist in the level and they're just wandering around doing their thing. And I guess you could maybe like the aliens aren't good at combat, right? Because they're not used to walking around as people. So you could try and take them out, maybe knock them out, hide them in a closet or whatever. But it's not an easy thing to do. So the best choice is always to just try and complete the mission whilst they are just going on with their day. But like the idea of these two people existing in the same level, I think could be really, really interesting.
I think the way you could do it as well is kind of the opposite of detection, where it's more like you already have, now that your doppelganger is this guy, you have like an idea of where they are at all times while you are this person. So you also know if he's gone into this hallway, everyone you look at, they have an idea of how long ago they last saw this person, right? So if you are both in the same room, then obviously bad idea. If they've just left the room you're in and you walk in from the opposite entrance, they're like, I just saw you like 10 seconds ago, go through that door. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on? Yeah.
The longer it's been since a character has seen you, the more likely it is that they're just going to be like, oh yeah, hey, it's you again. So it's not, when I say the opposite of detection, I mean like it's an opposite, it's another thing that you can keep track of for each person.
Deception.
Yeah, their perception and when they last saw the other person, the other you, the real you.
So how does that work for you, Chris? Does that make more sense, or do you like that idea a bit more than just like infecting hosts?
I like that idea, but I think there needs to be a caveat to doing that. There still needs to be a risk. Maybe you can't engage in conversation because you don't know the language.
You don't know what they sound like.
You don't know, like, maybe someone's like, oh, how are you? And you're like, oh, fantastic.
Or you could immediately. You could keep the same, maybe you can only hold your shape for a certain amount of time or something. So you can like get all the features ready, right? Okay, cool. I've got 45 seconds, X amount.
Stop
of seconds.
saying a number.
You've got 61 seconds to like get past security, and you're like, all right, good, yeah, and then your nose starts to like flatten or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep.
You get a nosebleed.
It's like you are just you're a big clay person, and everything is slowly falling off you.
Your features just slowly disappear.
Yeah,
that could be amazing.
Maybe you actually play as just like this faceless guy, like a sectoid from again XCOM. But like this...
and the face isn't the faceless. Is that not a thing from?
Yes, it is actually. That's
a
giant clay blob thing. Again from XCOM. But maybe your default appearance is. Have you seen like the main character from Mortal Shell? They kind of just look like this weird. They don't have a face. It looks like they're just made of plastic. It almost looks like a bad 3D model in a way where it doesn't. It looks very cool.
Imagine like. But seeing what you look like at the beginning of the game is kind of creepy. Just like looking at yourself in a mirror.
Yeah, you are just this
nothing, just
nondescript, just no features at all. You just have arms, legs, and a head, right, and a body, obviously. But like you are just nothing until you doppelganger into someone else, or you Doppler. I think that's what it was called from Witcher.
Doppel. Yeah, Chris.
This is third person, right? Like Hitman style, because you just said look at yourself in the mirror. So then I'm assuming you in your head it's first person.
I know. I was imagining like the opening cutscene of the game.
Oh, okay.
In my head there.
Oh man, so it's character customization at the start, because people love that. Got to have character customization at the start. You have a blank face and you like Mr. Potato Head yourself together. Like you've got a list of people that you've seen, and you go right. Yep, all right, I'm ready to go. Hat on.
I'll take this person's nose.
Collar up. Yeah. And then
one other thing that I was thinking of, like, what if when you mentioned like when Chris, you were talking about like not being able to talk to people and stuff, like what do you think about the idea of some kind of skill tree that you could carry over multiple levels, so that say if you want to be better at talking to people, like you could put points into language.
Maybe it's like a loadout thing for each level.
During the school level, you go every day and learn English.
Yeah. Maybe it's a loadout for every level where you're like, okay, if I want to attempt this level this way, I'll give myself speech, for example. Or
it's like a DNA cost.
Yeah, maybe.
How does that work in Hitman? Because you have setup, don't you?
Sorry?
Like how does the opening of because in each level in Hitman you have like a setup
you can
sequence.
You can choose like you can choose to take in bombs. You can choose to take in the silence pistol. You can choose where you start in each level. You can also choose if you start a level as a particular disguise, and then it just changes the level in very small ways, but enough to make it unique and cool each time round. Also allows you to then complete the hundreds of challenges in each level.
And that
was basically the point of Hitman, is replaying it to get the kills in very specific ways, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, maybe you're just this faceless dude who can take on the appearance of anyone in the level for 45 seconds at a time, and to get to the final target so that you can take over their life.
I think that's it. Like, if all we need to know is the final target is the president or whatever, and all the objective is you just have to get the president to push the button, and that's it. That's like you win the game if you get the president to push the button, like to release the missiles or whatever. It's essentially it's start like that means the aliens win, and so each level is trying to get you to that point. I guess. Like I don't know, Tom. Okay, at this point, Tom, what is this game?
So far, this game is a worse version of Hitman.
Is that what
I said it at the start, Shitman.
He did say Shitman. I think,
and you can go up people's asses.
Basically, it's a game where you, in a Hitman style levels, you try and disguise yourself to get to the final target. Except you are A, a virus, B, a doppelganger who can take over people's bodies, C, a lizard person or an alien trying to take over the human race, or D, it's a game that you never ever buy because Hitman exists. Basically, this episode and the other episode where we also mentioned Hitman was Pitch Please Appease Chris edition, and it didn't work on that last one either.
No, but I really think like the idea of the doppelganger thing is a really cool like I've not seen that before. I think James's idea of like being able to actually match someone, and then like however you do that, like if you have to follow them through like an annoying stealth mechanic or whatever. But then like what you were saying, Tom, about then having that person exist in the world, like just creates something very different to like it throws something else in the mix that's not in Hitman, right? And I think that makes it kind of cool.
I think it also, like, well, the reason I said virus thing at the start, which I know we swayed away from a little bit, but also just the way that you can approach the levels in that style is you've got tentacle hands and you can launch out, but if people see you, then obviously bad news. Or you can create like a hive somewhere, which you can head back to power up or whatever. Like different little traps and different ways to traverse the levels by just being this superhuman, essentially prototype character to navigate the levels. And there's also a million challenges, just like Hitman.
So Carrion 2, My Wayward Son, right?
Carrion 2.
James,
it's not gone well, and that's the title. When the worst joke I think I've ever done is the title.
I can't call it shit, man.
No, you can't.
Carrion, My Wayward Son, the sequel to Carrion. That's what it is now.
James, what are you thinking?
So the virus side of things and the lizard people thing, less intrigued about. I know it's my idea, so I'm going to say it's great. I like the doppelganger route.
I like it.
I feel like that's just, like I say, it's got the unique stealth traversal that, I mean, I've not seen it before. I love the idea that maybe you can only learn 3 words because you've got a tape recorder in your back pocket. So people are like, hello Fred, and you're like, hi.
It's like a voice
you just got a soundboard on your phone and you're like, what is up, friend? Hello there.
Where are you headed? Yes.
It's the episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Got apples?
It's giving me massive Mission Impossible vibes, where the stupidest stealth like mechanic in Mission Impossible films, where they're like, I'll 3D print someone's head and wear it as a mask, is just I love that notion, and I want that to be the game, is just you copy someone's face and have to try and blend in. I think that's great. I like it. Yeah.
And all along, Tom Cruise was the alien.
Yeah, exactly.
We just never knew.
There's clearly something wrong with him. Chris, what do you think? I think we know what you think. But let's come on, let's hear it.
I don't know. Like, I really like Hitman. The level design is fantastic. Like, it's gorgeous as well.
Do you think the Hitman is just so good that you don't want anything else like it? You're just done with. You don't want to play a Hitman alike.
No, it's not that. I just feel like this is half-assed.
Why?
It's Hitman with aliens like thumbed in. Someone was like, "Oh yeah, we need DLC for Hitman." Aliens, and then someone went, "That's the one." Aliens are so hot right now. Let's put them in Hitman.
No, it's Hitman mixed with Carrion.
Yeah, you said it yourself.
That's it.
But
That's it's the crossover that no one wanted.
Well, no one asked for.
No one expects.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get my head around to like any ideas that I thought. Some of them were fun, but again, mechanically, and are they interesting enough to be
It's not
to
enough for a
hold
game.
up a game on their own? I don't think they are.
So you could see it as like Hitman DLC.
I probably wouldn't.
It's pulling a face.
I guess what's confusing though is throughout the entire thing, all of the bits you were taking apart was the Hitman side of it, and Hitman's the part you
No,
liked.
I wasn't trying to take that bit apart. I was trying to find a way to make it as good as Hitman.
But then you made
That's
it
a
open
very
world,
hard
which is
task,
not
isn't it?
Hitman.
Because I was trying to make it better. Because I couldn't figure out a way of doing the confined levels that add a mechanic to make it, give it something that I think makes it stick.
Okay, so have we learned basically that Hitman is pretty much as close to a perfect game?
It's untouchable.
It's will be made.
Untouchable.
I do want to
Alex.
go play Hitman because I've only ever played it on console, so I really want to play it on PC.
I'm getting that feeling as well.
But yeah, maybe this episode's just an advertisement for Hitman 2.
Hitman 2 is
Should we-
available on Steam, and it's the perfect game. Nothing
Yeah.
can beat it. There's nothing you can do to
This
it
episode
to
should
make
just be
it
called
good.
Hitman 2.
Please buy now. Available on Steam.
Carry
And
on,
then in the
Boogaloo.
description, we'll have the link to where you can buy Hitman 2.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening. I think all four of us, by the sounds of it, are off to go and play Hitman 2.
Yeah,
too.
would play Hitman 2.
Would play.
Oh
yeah.
Would play.
Could not make.
Have
play
bought
Hitman
and will
2.
buy again.
clearly could not make. Would play. Will play. Next time we're going to go back into probably Tom's hole, maybe my hole. Maybe we've got a guest. Who knows? You'll just have to find
There's
out.
so
You'll just
many
have to
holes we can
find
dive
out next
into.
time. Yeah,
We've got
and we're going to have a
plethora of
big
holes.
look at them. Yeah, we've got one of those like
Smorgasbord.
those conspiracy boards with all the like the threads tied to them, pinned to them,
yeah.
but that's different people's.
Except
holes.
it's a
People's
sieve.
holes.
You don't know which hole you're going to fall into next time.
It's like a pachinko machine.
Yeah.
So
We plop
keep
our
an eye
faces
out.
on there and they fall down into the right hole.
so we'll see you in someone's hole next week. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.